Hey, David.
Morning, John. How you doing, man?
Good man. How are you?
Oh, I like this. Where's that?
I don't know.
Look like we're at the opera.
I think we are. We're at the opera. What is that? Let's see. Trying to think of like Ode to Joy. What's the melody to Ode to Joy? Beethoven.
Yeah, no. I'm sure
Oh
I
no, I
learned it
got it.
on piano. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Um, let's go this way. There, that's my Beethoven for the day. Well, also,
Oh, a little fur elise. I love it.
that's it,
Do
man.
you play you so you play piano too?
Nope, never played
No,
piano.
okay.
Well, I mean, that's not entirely true. When I was very young, my grandmother was an opera singer, and
Oh, wild.
she had sung at Carnegie Hall and had a very long relationship with Juilliard. And so when I was growing up, she had an apartment in New York, and she had an extra bedroom. So she would host all of the Tchaikovsky piano competition guys in her house. So when I was growing
Oh
up,
my
I had all these
gosh.
crazy, and she had a piano. So we would have all these crazy Russian piano players in my grandmother's house. I tried to learn, but it wasn't really suited. Like she would tape an apple inside my hands at night when I would go to sleep. That's what the Russians would do with piano players. They tape an apple because that's the shape they want your hand to be. Like
Oh
it's
my
weird.
gosh.
And I think she taped my hand inside an apple like twice, and I was like, that ain't me. I'm, I'm all done with
Love you, Nana, but
it. Yeah, we're good. Uh, but she liked guitar playing. My grandmother, she was born like in 1899. She liked Hendrix. She really liked Hendrix a lot. She was very open eared. She loved Oscar Peterson, loved Hendrix. Um, I think I turned her on to a couple other more modern guys too. Um, she liked Ray Charles a lot. You know, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole. She was pretty
sure.
open eared. We were just playing because I'm. It looks like I'm in an opera theater, so I was playing it.
Oh,
I added a note. That's not his note. That's not his. I so that way we don't get like pulled down by the YouTube algorithm. Are you guys holding up?
right.
Good, man. Just plugging away.
Tune up the volume. Yeah, Colorado's weird right now, man. The weather's weird. The air's
Yeah.
really weird. I don't know
Been
what it's like in
smoking.
Denver. It's still bad. It's still bad in Denver.
Yeah. The air quality has not been good.
Oh, I'm sorry. We were gonna go visit our son. I have an older son. He's about 28. He lives in Northern California. But the roads to get to him were all through the fires, and I have pretty bad asthma. So he showed me a picture outside his back door in the middle of the day, and it was like being on Mars. The sky was literally completely orange, and you couldn't see his backyard fence.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's bad there. Hey, quick question, just sound wise. I've got my volume turned all the way down now, but I'm going to turn it up.
Yeah,
Do you guys hear a buzz? How bad is it?
I hear a 60 cycle hum, but it's not that bad.
And if I were to turn the volume down now, do you still hear it?
No,
Cool.
but I want to hear you anyway.
Oh,
I mean, it's important to hear these things. So I'll put us somewhere more benign. Oh look! Oh, you can do double. That's cool. I can be in the desert.
Nice.
This is great. I love this stuff. All right, back to reality. Um, sorry. I worry a little bit that the group gets smaller because the material's too hard. That guys are fading because the content is too difficult, and I think maybe it would be good to start with a Q&A before we go to like other materials and going to Over the Rainbow, which I know is challenging. But just talking a little bit about, like, even just now, like when Dave and I were talking, I couldn't remember the melody, and then I remembered the melody to Beethoven, and I was like, well, if that's the melody, then just harmonizing it basically, and then maybe taking it up a notch. Working out like non-functional harmony, and then more extended versions of harmony, like right. What are the dominant relationships? And that's what my mind immediately goes to, right? I just kind of start looking for cool ways of making something prettier, or in my ears prettier. Maybe people will disagree with that. So, but let's talk today a little bit about Ted's stuff, because that was kind of the initial idea of the group anyway. Was talking about Ted's stuff and not overwhelming people with material. So, have you guys got any questions about things that you've worked on with Ted, or things you want to look at today?
Yeah, I think for me the biggest thing is still just working through the chord shapes. Like looking at somewhere over the rainbow. The first this switch right here, the G sharp minor to G sharp minor, trips me up every time, just because it feels like a very very awkward. Like it took me a long time just to get there. So I was wondering a little bit about. I think specifically skipping strings with your right hand.
Do you guys know Alan Holdsworth's music at all?
Name it.
Are you familiar with Alan Holdsworth's
Sounds
music?
familiar, yeah.
Alan Holdsworth is a fusion guitar player. He does a lot of really very, very advanced harmonic work, harmonic progressions. Really, he's a virtuoso. He passed away recently, unfortunately, or not recently, but a little while ago. And he sees groupings of notes, regardless of their intervallic distance, as part of the whole. He describes, I think I talked a little bit about this a long time ago, about neck mapping, where he'll see a given scale from the lowest note, which is available, which is an open E, to the highest note available, which is, I believe, a D. And he sees the scale as all of the available notes between there and there. So he doesn't differentiate scales or modes. He sees things as based on the intervallic distance between notes within a given set of organization. So like a major scale would have, a major second, and then another major second, then a minor second, and then a major, you know what I mean? It's a intervallic relationship. The point of that whole long story is that when he looks at chords, he's looking at the sound. There's like a tune of his where he's playing the root and the fifth on C, these two fingers, and then he plays the sharp 11 and the ninth, and he's grabbing them like this. So the thumb and the fourth, I don't actually know how he grabs them, but I think that's the only logical way, is the thumb and the first finger are grabbing the C and the G, and then the first finger's grabbing the third finger's grabbing the F sharp, and the middle finger is grabbing the D. So it's right, and that's the tune. I don't remember. It's just, I can't play the tune, but it's a really beautiful use of intervals. So any chord configuration that you're going to find, your hands are going to adapt, right? So your hands are going to adapt. So that switch from, right, and being able to find where your fingers organically lie. Like my hand immediately gravitates to these three fingers, my thumb, first finger, and that moving to the close intervals. Let me see if I can give you a better angle. I actually tried to, tell me if this works or not. I can't guarantee this is going to work. But
Whoa.
There you
can you see
go.
that?
Yeah, it's a little jumpy, but it's working.
Jumpy, like as in
As in, like,
I can't see. Oh, I can't see you. So let me see if I can find.
as in like a YouTube video that's buffering.
Oh, it's a new camera, and I think I'm going to return it, but it's just to get a better angle. So my hand, if I can, here, is immediately my fingers go to whatever the intervals are. I start developing a relationship with the strings, right? Generally, yeah, there. Generally, my thumb, first and second finger are these three or these three, right? And then
Hmm.
anything up above, I'll generally do. I don't use my pinky a lot. I mean, I can if it's a bigger chord. Like if I'm playing. Can you see what my hand's doing? See how I
Yeah.
move my thumb down?
Yeah.
I gotta better stop. I don't want the YouTube police after me. Um, but it's finding sort of a relationship between the string groupings and intervals, and being able to move. Right? It's nothing different than moving anything else. Your hands just aren't used to it.
Fair enough.
I mean, I would sit for half an hour and just go. And there is a difference in sound because you're getting. That seventh. And if it's really not feeling good, just do the other. Just stay on the other chord. Right?
Yeah,
There's no.
I think more specifically because it comes back a bunch of times throughout the song, so throughout this arrangement at least. So I think I'm just trying to get used to skipping strings with my right hand.
You can do it with a pick, by the way. I
Uh,
don't think it's not that hard. He said fucking it up. Right? I mean, I'm just brushing the strings. You can do it with the side of your thumb too. A little Wes Montgomery-ish. Right? It's up to you.
mhm.
And you can arpeggiate everything too. You can go. Right? I mean,
Mhm.
you know, it's
Yeah.
it's it's finding your flavor within it. And I know. So do you do the bass? Is that your normal hand
Yeah, I
position?
mean, I switch back and forth. I do fingerstyle and pick on bass. On guitar, I feel more natural fingerstyle.
Have you ever looked at Gary Willis's playing, the bass player?
I don't think so. No. Who do
Gary
you play
Willis
with?
is a really amazing jazz fusion bass player, and his hand is like this for bass playing.
Okay, so almost like that. You mean? So kind of like a classical thing where you're.
Well, classical, he'd be up like this. He's got a whole thing worked out, but it's the fluidity with which he can move is pretty extraordinary. It's worth checking out.
Okay, Gary Willis. Right.
He's a
Okay.
great, really great player. Um, I think he was in Tribal Tech. I think he's in a couple other really big fusion bands.
Okay.
I mean, he's in a million projects. I'm being a jerk right now, and I apologize, Mr. Willis, if you ever see this, because I'm a huge fan of yours. Um, I will actually, while since there's only three of us, I can see if I can find something.
Rudy, I agree with you with the right hand on kind of which fingers. I like if you're playing a chord, like with the bass and then kind of the mids, that's fine. But when they get close together and then you're doing these kind of wide groupings,
Hmm.
I too struggle with that. So that's hard. And yeah, that G sharp minor, that third one, kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
I hear
Yeah.
you. Do you see that link, Rudy? Can you see that link in the chat?
Yes, I do.
Click on that. There's an 8-week class he's about to teach.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I think,
Cool.
or maybe over. Who knows? I don't track these things, but
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
he's and there's a lot of he does a lot of instructional videos that are on YouTube, and you can find that.
Awesome. Yeah,
Highly
thank you. I'll
recommend it.
definitely check it out.
Um, you know the Okay, so how to get comfortable? That's a really good question. I'm not sure that's actually something that really ever happens. Like entirely getting comfortable. Like I'm more comfortable with certain things than I used to be, and I've spent a lot of time where I'm just I don't tend to noodle. Like I tend to learn songs from the beginning to the end because what I found is if I learn fragments, then all I can ever do is play in fragments, right? So I don't learn like a song and then I'll kind of get halfway through and then go, oh great, I've got that lick down. I don't actually don't like the idea of licks. So when I'm studying harmony on the guitar or when I'm studying chords, it's the same idea. It's like if I find a voicing that I really like a color or a texture, if it can be moved, some chords on the guitar can't be moved because of the intervallic relationships with open strings. But if I find a color that I like, I'll look for how to use it in a tune. Let's see. So that's a tune called Spain. And generally, a lot of people will stick in this area for the opening couple of chords. Just those two chords and hang on that. But there's a lot of great, like that's the same idea, but it's just an inversion of, or higher register voicings. So you can. Which is kind of a neat F sharp chord. And I like those because it gives me a more pianistic, melodic sound if I'm comping. It's hard, right? Like if I'm playing the tune, I'm probably not going to be reaching for this chord at. Well, I guess I can. So there you go. Sorry. Asthma. Sorry, guys. So the point is that you get comfortable. Like there were years where I couldn't play a chord like that. Right? That's just a dominant seven, flat nine chord with the seventh in the bass. And it's I can tell you the notes if you want. It's F sharp dominant, so it would be an E with your ring finger, and then a G natural with your middle finger, and then you're gonna bar the second fret with the third fret with your first finger, and then with your pinky, this is where it gets awkward. You're gonna play the F sharp on the seventh fret. Yeah, that's great. You're right there. You're right there. Now, yeah, you're right there, man. E, yeah, E, G natural, right? A sharp, F sharp, G. Yeah, it's a great
Ugh.
chord. It gets comfortable. Like one of the most common major seventh chords that I use is it's a similar voicing. English spread is E, G, so it's a wide triad. So E, C, and G, right? So I'm playing E, C, and G. It's just a well, I think they call them drop two, but it's not really. But I take the third, then I go up an octave with the C, and then another with the G, right? So that's all it is a G, is in C triad. And then what I do is I add the D by barring.
Oh wow.
So play E with your ring finger, David, on the 7th fret. Then play
Okay.
C natural with your with your middle finger on the 5th fret of the G string. There you go.
Oh.
And bar the 5th fret of the 3rd fret. Okay, so you got, and then put your pinky down on the B. And the way I would play that actually is I would play that I'd play that G before I play the B. But those are not the most comfortable chords, right? Exactly.
Telling you.
Exactly. But
Did Judy? Go ahead.
no, I'm with you.
Oh, I was going to say to Rudy's point. I'm not sure if you can pick it up, but that G sharp. I would always like if I were to play like a major position like that C shape. I would always do fourth, third, first finger. And whenever I do that minor, always if I'm playing an arpeggio, I'll play for that chord. So for me to get that ring finger, that's a kind of a game changer.
So first
That's
of all, I
tough.
want to encourage you guys relax, like your hand. Don't stress your hands. So start with just being able to play. And you can actually even practice just holding those 3 notes down and lifting your pinky up and down. Right? Have you ever seen there's a really good finger independence exercise that can help with this stuff? I'll try and see if I can remember it. Put your third finger, your ring finger, on the F sharp on the 7th fret, and then put your first finger on the A on the E string. So it's those 2 intervals. Okay? And what you're going to do, this finger is going to go, the third finger melodically is going to go, right? And your first finger is going to go, but you're going to do it at the same time. Wait, it gets weirder. Then the idea, so it's not that hard. So let's look at the first. So the first interval is F sharp and A. Okay? And then the second interval is you switch fingers. So it becomes F and C. Okay? So start with F sharp and A. Okay? And then, yeah, thank you, David. And then switch so that your middle finger and your pinky are playing F and A, F and C. So your middle finger goes, yep, there you go. And then switch again so that your first finger and ring finger are playing E and B. Yep, that's it. And then the last one is a little uncomfortable. You're going to switch so that your pinky and your middle finger are playing G and B flat. Yep, that's it. And you get more comfortable with it. It sounds like this. But here's where the exercise gets interesting. So you take it up string intervals. So it's that's a hard one. I don't think I can do this one. No. Yeah, I can't do that. I'd have to warm up and do that. But the idea is finger independence, right? And you start to develop a little bit more finger strength and independence, but there's no stress, there's no pressure. You know, there's no, I'm not, you know, really gripping. I'm just kind of lightly going, trying to make each note the same volume, watching for when I mute. Right, and that can also help with some of the finger independence of like moving your fingers where you're not expecting to move them. Does that make sense?
Rudy got
That's
it,
really
yeah.
cool.
2 tellies and a Strat. 2 tellies and a Strat walk into a bar. So if we were to if you look at the tune, it's, I don't usually play it block. Like I mean, if you play it as the guy has it written, it's, I tend to arpeggiate it more because it feels more organic to the way the chords sound. And then on the recording that I did, I'm completely insanely playing stupid lines. I don't know. Did you guys hear that recording?
I don't think so, no.
I didn't. No, I haven't.
Here, give me a second. I can share that. I believe I can share
Rudy,
it.
play for us. Play
Sure.
it. Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm going for it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I can stumble my way a little bit, not as well on the second page, but
But that's awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, bravo.
And then next line. That's great.
That's really cool. And I had to play with that one a little bit before it sounded musical.
In general,
Hey,
making things ring, letting things ring as long as you can, makes it easier. Try
Yeah.
not to lift your fingers to make things happen.
That's what the reverb's for.
Yeah. Hey, Rudy, when you're doing it, are you going off of this one, the printed one, or are you going off of this?
I'm going off of the printed one just because I can see the chord shapes a little bit easier and I can follow along with it easier.
Yeah.
But I'm not really following the rhythm at all, I don't think. I think I accidentally changed a few of the voicings.
That sounded pretty to me. The stumbling thing happens when you're trying to play it too fast.
Yeah.
You know, in general, that's why I'm always, you know, really nice, light, relaxed until you want to get it up to a more insane. Let me see if I can share this. I think I can share this. How do I do this? Share screen.
That sounded good, Rudy.
Thank you.
I just started this one last night.
Oh my gosh.
It took me, however long to get through Our Love Is Here to Stay, get through. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But I've at least committed that to memory. So I just started this last night. And, it seems manageable, but I only got through the first page.
Okay.
So,
But all of
they're-
these take time. I mean, all of these take, I mean, I think I played this, I mean, I haven't played it for about 9 years, but when I played it last time, I played it for a year so that I could, here, I'll show you guys. Hold on.
Yeah, John, I know you were talking about it last time too, but that like the inner motion on the second page gets really, really cool there. Yeah.
Those lines? Yeah.
Yep.
Here. So, what do you guys see? Do you see my mouse and a page?
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Let me make sure you're hearing. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure you're hearing this correctly. This, I'm not in favor of COVID, just so you guys know. And the
Oh, you're
whole,
not.
no, I'm not in favor of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys see this screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. Obviously, I have an introduction. You guys get the idea, right?
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
thank you.
Beautiful.
But that was probably 500 takes in. I again, because I was originally, that record I did for myself. It was right after Ted had passed, and Barbara, his partner, and I were talking, and I said I really missed him, and I started recording stuff, and I think I spent about a year actually recording these, and I sent it to Barbara, and I said, if you don't like this or you think it's somehow disrespectful, I'll just keep it for myself and my kids. But she ended up really liking it, and so I published it. But it was, I mean, a year and a half of like looking at these tunes, imagining how I was going to play them, trying not to sound like Ted, trying to get comfortable with it. Because again, I'm more comfortable. I'm much more comfortable with that than I am, with uh, Ted stuff. So it's not really, it's just a question of time and patience, and the willingness to sort of sit with it and just go, maybe this chord is too hard, so I'm just going to sit. I'm just going to hold it. I'm going to carry my guitar around like this, take the strap off and, I'll just carry this around, until my hand just decides that it's done fighting me, right? And I can guarantee you, if you just sit with that for a couple of weeks, you'll find that in a couple of weeks you won't even be thinking about it anymore. It's
Hmm.
just what's currently drawing your attention, Rudy, right? It's in this moment what's calling your attention to what's difficult about, playing any arrangement of Ted's. Do you guys, I know you can see it in the background of my space probably, but here, I'll duck down. You see those two books in the background?
Yeah. Yeah,
Those,
that's the old
those
school version of chord chemistry. That's still like the first edition.
Yeah, Ted gave me that, so I keep it. Actually, there's a funny story to that. Is it's actually my second copy. Was I had the original copy when it first came out, and Ted signed it and gave it to me, and I was in Fiji on a very very remote island, like 24 hours out in the chain, and I brought my acoustic guitar with me, and I was living on a very remote island as a diver, and I was living in a tree house and on an island by myself, going out in a kayak and diving every day. And I became friends with the chief of this one tribe, who were across the channel. And so at night, I would kayak over and we'd play guitar and drink kava. It's really crazy. And the guitar players, they had these guitars where like they were rusted piano wire on these old beat up guitars. And I had a think a guild, like a really nice guild, which they were fascinated by. And I play all these wacky chords with their pretty hard music actually. And one of the guys was like, how do you, where are these from? And I said, well, and I gave him my copy of Chord Chemistry. And my theory is right now is there's some insanely talented guys because they have nothing else to do on this island in Fiji. But I told Ted that story, and he gave me that, and that's the original Modern Chord Progressions, the original publication. And I've probably leafed through it 1,000 times. I usually start where I'll learn a page, go to the second page, stop, wait a week, maybe go to the next, and just work my way through the book until I get to the end and come back. The stuff towards the end is really, really hard. It really requires you sitting there and just going, what is he looking for? They're hard keys, they're weird intervals and movement, but it's all about finger independence and inner line motion and being able to hear that kind of thing a lot better than I'll ever be able to play. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the books at some point, not today, but if we could devote a session to that, because yeah, I mean, for me, they're hard.
Yeah.
I mean, you have them, right?
You guys
Rudy?
have the books, right?
Yeah, I have a few of them.
I got these two.
Yeah.
I got this one and then this one.
I can't see. I'm sorry, David. It's hard for me to see. That's Modern Chord
Chord
Progressions
progression,
and
chord
Yeah, they're
chemistry.
the same. They're the same. What I have. This is Modern Chord Progressions. That's what you have. The first thing is to read his introduction. This is super important to read. You want to read through this and really see what he's talking about, so that gives you a sense of what he had in mind when he was looking to do this. And then how to interpret the diagrams is extremely useful. How to interpret what the chords are doing and movement and melody. He really goes through. Ooh, whoa, this is falling apart. I got to tape that. All these first few pages are invaluable for like how he's thinking, how to memorize chords, especially this section for you, Rudy. How to memorize chords is invaluable.
What page is that on?
On mine, it's on page 10.
Yep.
And then diatonic chord progressions. It's when you get to page 15 that he starts getting into how sounds work. So he'll take pretty standard progressions like a 1, 3, 4, 5, which is at the basis of a lot of rock and roll stuff, and he just starts going through simple, really simple examples. Can you all look at page 15?
Yep.
I'm on page 15, and I've actually worked through this page.
Okay.
Let me ask you, now that we're here,
Sure.
if you were looking at progression number 1, and this is the question that I had when I was teaching myself this, he starts on C, E minor 7, so on and so forth, and he finishes on C7.
C major 7. That cross line in the 7 means major 7.
C major 7. So
C major 7.
C major 7. My question is, how do you loop it? How do you get back to the beginning if you're finishing on a C major? You start on C and finish on C major 7. How do you loop it?
Oh. What does he want here? I haven't got my glasses on, guys, so give me a second. Sorry.
Have you been through these, Rudy?
A handful. I do the same thing. I'll pick it up one day, play one.
Okay, so
Sounds pretty.
I try and first find a rhythm. So sorry for the awkwardness, guys. I just don't have my glasses with me. Back. And then just wait. And I'm arbitrate. I mean, it could be any rhythm. I mean, it could be. keyboard here. I'm just nervous about spilling water on the computer. Then I can actually see what's happening. Man,
Well,
aging
that's simple
sucks.
enough, though. I mean, that's easy enough. Wait and then start over.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real rules. I mean, if you go to two, oh, that's a great one. So what's happening here is those circles are optional notes, and he's wanting you to hear melodic, movement within there. So you've got. So he's got that inner line movement. Right? That's what those circles represent on two. If you're looking at two, right? And you see those circles? That's the inner line he's trying to get you to hear. Right? Can you hear that?
Yeah.
You see that? And then it just keeps moving on, I'll look at 3 on the same column. And it's just all about hearing it. Right? And trying to find like a groove or a melody so that it's applicable. So if you're ever playing a tune, I'm not going to that C. I'm actually not going there. I'm just going back.
Okay, so you would approach these that way as well.
One way.
Yeah. Okay.
I would basically memorize this page, but then the trick is, so you've got it here. A flat. Right? And I would take it through all 12 keys, maybe randomly, so that it's not static. I want to hear that. I want to hear that in my head. You can do it in cycles with fourths, so the next would be F. And then B flat. So you're not just, it's not, he's writing it in C because it would take him forever, and he does other keys as you move through the book, but I'm saying it's ridiculous to sit and write the same thing that way. But you can, and then you can practice arpeggiating, Right? Does that make sense, Rudy?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you work your way through, and by the time you're in like the hard keys, like diatonic cycles of fourths, and like I'm talking about like up by page 49, like here, and also David, there's some repeated stuff if you need more advanced things. On page 48, he does like repeating cycles where there are longer frameworks, all up in the 40s. All of those sequences are much longer. So
I'm there now.
Yeah, like on page 48, that whole sequence of 1-4-2-5 and 3-6-2-5, combining the two to get longer sequences are in there. And again, what I always do with this is I never settle on one key. Like that's really like a pretty important component is you want to try and get it in your ears, and then your hands can adjust. A lot of these are transposable just because of the shape sequencing, but that eventually you want to get to the point where You can hear, well, so that's 1 3 3, and then 4, and then 5 suspended, right? And you're connecting these more sonically, melodically than just the static things that he's showing you. It's to get that sequence in your ear and start hearing more about how that would actually work. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Yeah, it does.
It's not easy, guys. I admire your willingness to take this on.
Well, I purchased these books and I kind of gave them a crack and then I put them back on the shelf and you kind of revisit them over the years, but if you don't have some guide, to help you through this, they're hard to figure out on your own. They are. I
I've
think
been
so
looking at him for
anyway.
42 years, David. You know, and it's like, and
Right?
it's the only thing I can say. I mean, again, most of my gigging career isn't this, right? I mean, I'm not even, I don't even think with COVID and stuff, I'm going to be playing that much. Nobody's really gigging. I don't really like doing the virtual thing and playing. It doesn't appeal to me. But most of what I do isn't this. I play funk and blues, and I play on people's records and I accompany people, and this is just a passion that I have because first of all, I think his works are disappearing a little bit because it is hard for younger players to assimilate and understand what he's doing, and there's no one really showing it. Tim is showing it. I don't think Mitch is
Tim's so
showing it.
good, isn't he?
Tim's a good player. Yeah, he's a really good player. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I got to meet him last year at the Rocky Mountain Arch Drop Festival. Seemed like a very nice fellow. Um, he, it's just a question of how do you want to increase your harmonic vocabulary, and Rudy, for you as a bass player, it's going to increase your melodic ear and
Yeah.
how you relate to other musicians, what they're playing. Obviously, you like to play multiple instruments, so it's going to help you. And David, I actually don't know. Do you play out professionally or do you gig?
No, no, I'm just a hobbyist. I've just been playing for, 25 years. And then I just, since I play a little bit of bluegrass. I'll go to a bluegrass jam here and there.
Hmm.
But because it is hard to find people to play with, I just said, fuck it, I'll just play solo guitar.
Yeah, I heard that. Swallow
And I
Hill
like
might be
this
good. Have you
stuff
been
too.
to Have you been down to Swallow Hill at all?
It's been years.
Swallow Hill's a good place to find a
Yeah,
place
but that's a
opportunity
that's a
to
good thing.
jam. They're a nice crew. They're good people. I actually did some films
Yeah.
about them last year. I did some scoring and I produced some films about Swallow Hill. My friend Chris Daniels was the director of Swallow Hill forever, and it's a good place to go and meet community and have an opportunity. There's a lot of bluegrass there and to play, and it's hard right now, obviously, but at some point in the future, that might be a
Sure.
good opportunity for you. Being around
Yeah,
people.
I'd love to, be able to link up with some other cats and play. I mean, that'd be ideal. That'd be a lot of fun.
Solo guitar is then if you're going to do solo guitar just because it's the way things are right now is patience, a certain degree of patience and kindness to yourselves and understanding that this stuff is really hard, right? And that you're cultivating a new way of it's like language. It's like when you're younger and you speak a certain way or you speak in a certain dialect, if you're learning a new language, you have to immerse yourself in the intricacies and you stumble, right? I if I'm trying to speak in Italian or French, I'm not going to I'm going to sound like an idiot. But the first sentence I learn in another language is I'm not stupid, I just don't speak your language. Io non sono stupido,
Pretty
io non
good.
parlo italiano. Ich bin nicht dumm, ich spreche noch nicht Deutsch. Je suis
Several.
non, je ne pas, I can't remember it now. Je ne parle pas français. Je suis non stupide or something like that. Because you're not fluent in the language yet, guys. Right? I'm not, and I've been trying to speak it forever. So take things apart more slowly, Rudy. If you find something, is there another section that you find that's really hard?
Here, let me take switch back. Hang on.
Should I put up the chart?
I got it right here.
Okay.
I got it.
Yeah, actually, there's another one. It's measure in the scored version. It's measure 12.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll go there.
The just that one, like the going
Are
from
we
the.
talking here?
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's just time. It's just doing it. But feels like a very awkward one unless I'm sitting, with the guitar between my legs instead of like I normally sit with it.
Yeah.
Just getting that angle. It feels like it's just the physics of getting that angle.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Well, that one is hard.
Okay. So, you guys see all of us and you see the chart, right?
Yep.
Good, I figured out how to do it. Okay. So, that G sharp minor is the same as all the others. So, here's how I would break that down. You've got a first thing you're going to strike is the 2 solid dots, right? Right?
Yeah, it's not so much.
Except that B is held over from the G sharp minor. So all you're going to do is practice going. And then, if you're lucky, I can't really do it without striking the B string again. You could, and try and mute the other strings. And just you're holding that B against that new E. And the cool thing is it's not a huge adjustment to get to that next E7 chord. We've done this chord before. Do you remember? It was in Our Love Is Here to Stay. I showed you this wacky chord.
That was this?
Yeah, same voicing. Different harmonic center. But yeah. And then you break it down. So if you look here, let me go back to annotate and spotlight. And so let's look at this together. So the black dots happens, simultaneously or held over, right? So you're doing, right? And then in order, you're going to go X, square, triangle. See, that triangle repeats. So the melody is you break it down into little small pieces. So yeah, not the D natural. You're hitting the let me see if that's correct. Maybe you are hitting the D. Yeah, you're right, Rudy. I was wrong. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess literally it's just a matter of physics for me. Like I can do it comfortably if I hold the guitar almost vertical like an upright bass.
Like this?
Yeah, like
John Soloway does that.
Holding it like this. Was that?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who play these chords. John Soloway plays like this, like a guitar like this.
Yeah.
You can. There's no problem doing that. I can't. I get chin bruises. So.
What the hell is for?
But getting the melody of the reason that he wants that melody is you hear that movement. I can't do it with the guitar like that. Sorry. Now the trick to this line, I don't know how you get rid of this, so I don't. Maybe if I can move the chart. So no, that doesn't work. And that doesn't get rid of it. Okay, well, ignore the circle. Down here, this whole sequence is all about ringing. It's the hardest sequence probably in the arrangement in my mind. And it's all about getting everything to ring. So you've got this open A and the C sharp, right? And you want to try and keep that ringing. how that C sharp keeps ringing? Right? And then the same thing. All that's ringing. Like I don't move my hand until the last possible movement so that you get that. There's a cool exercise Ted showed me. I'll see if I can teach it to you. Do you guys know this major 7 fingering? Okay, so holding your pinky down, this never moves. What you're going to do is you're going to play the note. So imagine your fingers are like this, right? There's a note before each one of those fingers that's associated with the scale, right? So, for example, when I want to play the C sharp, the B natural is associated. So I'm going to go. Okay? And then I'm holding that. Shall I show you again, David? I'll show you again. So
I can't see. I'm
okay,
sorry.
let me get the other camera up. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
You're still, yeah, there. Yep.
Is that better?
Way better.
This is better?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm playing.
Really cool.
So watch. With my pinky, I'm playing the A. Right? And then with my first finger, I'm anticipating, because this is the figure I want to end up on, right? Right? I want to end up on this. Here, I'll try the other camera. Hold on. Because it might be easier to see.
That's it. A major 7th. Got it.
Yes. So, okay. How's this?
Brilliant.
Better, David?
Yeah.
Okay, so look. Just my pinky's playing the A, right? And then I'm playing the B natural with this finger, my first finger. So I'm moving, so now I've got the first 2 notes of the chord right there, right?
Got it.
And then I'm reaching for, without letting these 2 fingers up, I'm going. You got to reach for that D with your first finger. Down here on the 3rd fret. But you're going to come down with your middle finger because you're trying to get to that shape, remember? And then the whole thing sounds like this. And that's just to give you little melodies to get to your target notes. And you can do this with almost any voicing. So it's, you'll see this on the tape later, okay? On the video later. Or, and you notice how all of them are ringing? It doesn't stop ringing. And they keep ringing. So when you get to a line like this, when you get to a line where, I wish there was a way to share without losing your mind. There. And there. Okay. So when you get to a line like, you just sit there with it really, really slow and you want to get that. And I'm letting that low A ring until I get to that E. And then I'm moving up. Now, my hand, when I go to that D9 chord, I can't hold the F sharp and move the inner line. It's just the way the tendons in my hand work. I think Ted could hold it, so I let go of the F sharp. I mean, I just did it, but it's very uncomfortable for me. And then the rest is pretty straightforward, just quarter notes. What sounds cool, it's hard, it's easier than it looks, but what sounds cool about that is all the dark, sort of low interval relationships in the bass, you know? Where he's playing E with a G sharp, where the thirds are in the bass or the fifth is in the bass. You know, it's a cool line motion so that you get that. The next line's actually a little challenging too. Right? I mean, it's getting all those little inner lines. But the way you do it, I just want to be really, to make it clear, is it's just super slow. Then move on. I'm adding that C natural. Just because I can. You know, it's easier for my hand. I don't remember why. I remember when I was learning these arrangements, I think I started with like 25 of Ted's arrangements and narrowed it down to 10. And I would play them for, you know, like one at a time. Like I would learn them and then I would focus on one and I would play it for like a month. You know, like when I wasn't doing whatever else I was doing, this would be my warm up, my practice, my, you know, and if you do this for an hour, it's like lifting weights. You know, it's definitely a way of doing it. Like David, when I saw you do the gospel blues, you know, I could see your hands were moving differently than what you're normally doing, right? It was great.
How do you commit these to memory? How do you learn songs quickly?
Repetition,
Not
mostly.
quickly, but how do you go about learning a brand new song?
Any song?
Yeah, page one, chord one, right? And just start at the beginning. But are there any tricks to learn them quicker? Or
Well, for example, about 2 years ago, I got a call from some New York session musician friends of mine that an artist they were working with is going to go out and open for Tom Petty on a blues festival tour. And I played with Tom's drummer for quite a long time, Steve Ferroni. He's a good friend of mine, and was a good friend of mine. And I had to learn the show knowing that I was going to walk out onto a stage in front of a lot of people having never met the artist before. Like I was going to meet her as I was walking out onto the stage because I flew into Canada to go on this tour. And for that particular purpose, I got all the charts as best they could. They weren't great charts, they were okay. And I laid them out and I got the recordings and I laid them out and I made a playlist. And I basically 10 hours a day for the 2 weeks before I went out to meet them, I cycled those 15 tunes on a playlist with the charts in front of me, unending, 10 hours a day. Like just so that, and I think the third day I'd start putting charts away. By the fifth day I had no charts. And by the last 5 days I was just playing it so that it was a part of my musical language so that I know, and especially it was a guitar focused band. So I had to like start a lot of the tunes or like there were key licks that had to happen. Like I got out and you know, it's big audiences and it's a little nerve wracking. And the first one was hysterical. Like a buddy of mine from LA, session drummer Brian Hawley, and my friend Andy Hernberg from New York, we walked on stage. Hey, nice to meet you. Sorry, let's go. 1, 2. You know, we just went. That's one way of doing it, like serious repetition, you know, over and over and over again. And because it was only 15 pieces of music, it wasn't really that hard. You know, if you're talking about like building a repertoire, which I think is important,
yeah,
you have to break the song down into its most basic components, and be able to play it from start to finish really slowly, right? Most of the mistakes that I see with guys who are younger players or who are not playing as much make is they learn a snippet. We talked about this earlier today. Is they learn a snippet of the song and they can play a piece of the song. You know, like you can meet a lot of guys who can play, you know, and that's about as far as they can get, right? And you need to be able to make it the whole way through the tune. You know, I don't even remember the key. You know, right? I'd have to learn the tune. Like if I'm just guessing, I can hear it in my head, but I'd have to work it out. But I wouldn't sit here and leave until I could play, which is not right, by the way. And whoever's listening to this, I don't care. But you know what I mean? I would work the tune until, I can remember the earliest piece of music I can remember having learned is a Mahavishnu orchestra piece. Right? And I think that's like one of the earliest pieces of music I learned when I was young. I mean, I learned some Beatles songs, and then I was like, nah, I want to learn Hendrix and Mahavishnu Orchestra. You know, and my guitar teacher was like, really? And I was like, yeah. You know, and learning, you know, that was a big deal to me. And I don't know if you guys know who Albert Lee is. Do you know who Albert Lee? Not Albert Lee. Who was the guy in Woodstock who sang "I'm Going Home"? Played a
Winwood? Oh, I wanted to say Steve Winwood, but no, that's
No, he
can't
played a
find my.
red. He played a red 335 and destroyed the guitar, and he was like either really high or just hyped out. But anyway, like he was like a big inspiration to me, like playing like really intense stuff, and I wasn't interested in, you know. I just couldn't. My mind wouldn't do it. But I would learn the whole song, dude. You know, like I'd be able to make my way through the whole tune so that I could play it. And I can't sing, so it's more difficult because you can't go to parties and play and sing along because it just sounds horrible, you know. So I just learned the song. So if you're going to do it, take the song apart, make it into its most basic elements, you know, and then figure out what things need to happen where, and then play it in sections. And as you're doing it, try and not rely on looking at the music. Like obviously you need to look at the chord chart or the tabs or whatever it is that you're using to get the basic thing, right? But more and more look away or close your eyes. You know, I more often than not I'll close my eyes when I'm playing because I'm not restricted to what I think my fingers can do. You know? And then once you've got the basics of the tune, you play it enough times where you've got to memorize, and you move on to the next song. But most guys, like, unless you have a fantastic memory, they memorize it because they're playing it on a gig, right? And if you're not playing gigs, it's harder to do. And bass players have it even harder, you know, because, well, I mean, you've got to know the whole structure of the song to be able to hold down the bottom end, and then.
Yeah, but I've always said bass is like bass lines are like speed limits. You just got to know where the cops are. There are only a handful of notes you can't hit.
I like that. Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I got to learn to play bass. That's awesome. Do you guys want to go through the arrangement right now and look at it, or do you want to? I mean, we're at the sort of hour 10 right now. I'd rather like answer questions. I know we covered a lot today. We can go through this again. I'd rather probably for next week I'll do some worksheets because I think that I think we may have lost people only because, you know, we were trying to cover too much really difficult stuff.
No, I feel good. I feel really good about the stuff today. I really like because I'll admit I was hacking my way through the inner motion part that we were talking about, but really slowing it down like that, you really hear it come out.
My answer is always going to be slow it down.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's the hardest thing for musicians to do. But if you watch, like, if you see videos, like, there's some great videos of this one classical pianist. She's a young virtuoso, and she makes these videos of her like preparation for concerts. And she has a grand in her apartment in New York, grand piano, and you'll see her repeating the same really hard bars over and over again. And then when she's stuck, it's like painfully slow, boom, 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 right? And building it up slowly so that her hands are more relaxed, but she knows what they need to do, and muscle memory kind of goes with it, and then it's, this whole thing, and it's the way it works. You can't. I mean, there is a theory that you should play things painfully slow and then immediately play it painfully fast, which sometimes I do. There's a number of Borelli Legrand songs. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's a French gypsy guitar player, virtuoso. Highly recommended. Probably one of the greatest living improvisers on the planet right now.
What's his name?
Borelli?
Borelli, Bireli, Legrand, Lagrene. He's a gypsy guitar player, but he plays everything. He plays bass like Jocko, piano amazingly. He sings like Frank Sinatra. He's probably one of the greatest acoustic jazz guitar players, gypsy jazz guitar players on the planet, recognized as such. I'm not blowing smoke up his ass right now. Everybody. It's just Borelli. It's just Borelli. And his tempos are extremely fast on a lot of stuff, and just learning to play the heads, not even improvising, just learning to play the melodies can be really. There's a tune called "Made in France." The melody is just really, really hard to get fluid and to get going. And I go to YouTube and I put it down to 50%, and I'll play that for 2 hours, and then I'll take it to 75%, and I'll play that for 2 hours, and then I'll try and be as relaxed as I can. But you can do the jump. You could play like 50% and then jump to 125%, so that it's so much faster that you can play that when you jump down to 100%, it's like, oh yeah, I can do that. But in general, I think the rule of thumb is try and slow things down so that your hands are relaxed, right? If you're stumbling, or if you're having difficulty in transition and you're not playing it slow enough to really articulate it, then you're going to always play it like that because you're training yourself to play that mistake. Whereas if you play it slow enough, you're training yourself to play it correctly, and that can be accelerated. And speed isn't really the essence of these songs with Ted. It's the clarity of the voices, the clarity of the movement, playing the melody, having a reasonable sense of time, you know. And David, you did that great with the gospel blues. I could really see that you were working towards making that sing out.
Yeah, it was not pretty. It will get better, but thank you. Yeah,
It was pretty to
I
me.
mean, it's hard. Holy, that was hard.
It was pretty to me. So
Oh, thank you. Nice words.
it's the thing I think about music most often is that it's not a competition. I don't have virtuosic chops. I don't have any of that stuff. I just play. And it's an expression of who I am as an artist. It's an expression of who you are as a musician.
I'll put up some more. I'll work through some of the tunes, and then I'll post them just so that other beginners too, other novices, or anybody can say, oh well, this is kind of what it's supposed to sound like as you're starting to learn it, right?
Yeah. My goal with all of this, guys, is to keep Ted's work alive and vital. I'm not the greatest expert on Ted by any stroke of the imagination, but I'm really interested in trying to keep, because his approach is really unique. You can see it, right? I mean, there's a couple of guys who are similar. Chet Atkins has a really articulated style of playing. There's a guy named Pasquale Grosso. He's a New York jazz guitar player. He's got a kind of a combination of Ted's thing and Bud Powell, the pianist's thing. There's Mitch Shamar in Denver. There's a number of really great. I'm sorry, I have senility. He's a wonderful English guitar player, Martin.
Oh yeah, I've seen that guy. It's like
I feel so
scroll.
bad when I can't remember these gentlemen's names because they're so kind. You know, Tommy Emmanuel and this gentleman, and there's a young guitarist named Antoine Boyer who has taken this stuff to like the next level. Like I don't even really understand what he's doing. It's he's improvising with these incredibly complex. I think he comes from a classical background, so contrapuntal movement at really complex harmonic ideas, and it's just incredibly beautiful. And so there's a lot of guys who are doing this kind of stuff, but it's you have to start somewhere. Ted's stuff is a great place to start. So my recommendation is be patient, be gentle, keep working on it, and then maybe you guys for this week, since it's I don't know how many people are going to be coming. Why don't you guys by tomorrow send me some like ideas of what you want to work on, and I'll send that out to the group mailing list, and we can finish over the rainbow next week.
Yeah.
Sounds
But
good.
send like it's like Xerox. Gosh, what's the old name? Scan scan a page from Ted's. Make sure that you acknowledge it's from that book, and then we can post it. Or look on Ted Greene's site for worksheets and send it to me. Like maybe there's a worksheet that's similar to chord progressions or those things that you want to work on. Send it to me and I'll send it out to the group, and we can all work on it. You know.
Yeah, yeah, take a look.
I mean, I think I don't want to scare people off with these arrangements. Okay, I don't want to. I don't want people to feel intimidated and then disappear and not come because that's not the point of the group. And by the way, thanks for the donations and supporting, the cost for me. It really helps. I
Oh
appreciate it
yeah,
a lot.
look, I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah,
Me too.
likewise.
It's like you're human beings that I get to talk to.
No.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, I'm in this space like all day, every day. Just I'm working on two films right now, and it's fun to write and play, but I'd rather do this, to be honest. This is good. So thanks for being here, and let me know if there's anything else. You can always send me questions if you have it, and we'll work on this stuff for next week. Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, guys.
All right.
Cool.
Peace out. Thanks for
See you
being
guys.
here.
Take care.